Hey Sugar Fams, it's Chinwe here. Today I'll be showing you how to decorate this cake. For the cake, we are going to be doing some crackled effect like on the first topper. Please do stay tuned if this is what you want. Kindly subscribe and also like and share. Thank you so much. First things first, for every cake, if you have been watching my video, I usually trim off the top of my cakes, so that is what I am doing here. I know a lot of people would say, is it necessary? Well, the answer is yes. 1. Trimming off the top of your cakes would help you have a level top, especially if you intend stacking cakes or putting them on top of each other, okay? And secondly, removing the top of the cake also helps you to maintain a fresh cake until it is completely consumed. All right, so in case if you're wondering sometimes why your cakes get spoiled or it doesn't really last long, try taking off the top, because when you finish baking your cakes and then you wrap it up in cling film like this, it tends to leave or retain moisture, and the top of the cake can sometimes get soggy. So taking off the top of those cakes would also be a good idea to preserve your cakes, As a baker, I would encourage you to learn how to keep your cake moist until it's properly consumed. One of the ways I do that, there are two methods I use. One of the ways I do that is by wrapping my cakes in cling film, as you saw earlier, okay? Then the other way is when I'm stacking them or putting them together, I add sugar syrup, okay? So the way I make my sugar syrup is 1 cup of sugar to 1.5 cup of water, and I bring it to boil. There are some people that do 1 cup of sugar to 1 cup of water, okay? But I tend to subsidize the sugar because people around me don't like sugar that much. All right, so what you do is, once you want to cover your cake, you bring it out from the cling film or this nylon that you tied it in, then you trim and then add your sugar syrup before you start stacking your cakes, okay? That way it will keep moist until it is consumed, okay? I know you'll be wondering why I didn't add buttercream to this. It is very important when you're stacking cakes or layering cakes, to add buttercream in between the layers. But why I didn't add buttercream to this one is because, first of all, we're in my country, Nigeria, people don't like to keep cakes in fridge. Like, I don't know why they keep it on the table. I think they prefer to be seeing the cake on the table and it's okay, the cake is there, okay, fine, let's just be going. But if you keep it in the fridge or in the freezer, especially in the freezer, because of the light situation in Nigeria, the cake will tend to last longer. But here they don't like to do that. So that also I avoid not putting buttercream in between wedding cakes. I can do that in buttercream. If you've been watching most of my decorating videos, you will notice I layer with buttercream. But for most times in wedding cakes, I don't put that because buttercream tends to go stale after a while, and it also helps to spoil the cake. So no matter the kind of preservative or the kind of cake that you are using for wedding cakes, if you're going to layer or put buttercream in between them, please ensure that the individuals know that they should put it in the freezer, okay? This is the second layer, and I'll go on to repeat the steps that we did in the other one, okay? I can't can't emphasize how important it is to trim your cakes properly. Alright, if you're having a problem trimming your cakes, please check out the video that I will link up in this description, okay, so that you will learn how to properly trim your cake, especially for fondant. It is very important that you trim your cakes for fondant, because if you don't trim your cakes, the sides will not trim well and the lines will be popping out in your final decoration. So try to watch that video to the end, okay? If this is your first time watching my videos, I know you'll be wondering why I put these skewers into the cake. Okay, the reason why I put these skewers in the cake is so that it will hold the layers together, and this way the cake or the layers will not shift while I'm trimming the sides, okay, just like you're seeing in the video right now. I would advise that if you're planning a wedding cake or a big cake for an event, what you want to do is start 2 weeks ahead, sometimes 1 month back. Okay, just plan out how you're going to bake the cake, how you're going to get the fillings and everything ready, or even if you're using a flour, sugar flowers, you can make it ahead of time. So the advice I'm going to be giving to you as a newbie or someone that has been in it but you're finding it difficult to be able to maneuver your work so that you will not be overwhelmed in the end, plan your cakes ahead of time. Take out 2 to 3 weeks planning your cakes. But you can bake your wedding cakes 2 weeks ahead, 3 weeks ahead even, because the longer fruit cake stays, the more it tastes better. I do have a video of my fruit cake on this channel. You can please check it out, or I will link it above. So after trimming, I take off the excess and I also take off the skewer. Know that I take off the skewer. Sometimes I do leave the skewer or the dowel rod inside the cake to hold it stable, especially if the cake is higher or bigger than this, but I want to flip the cake over, so I took off the skewers. Okay, also know that if you're putting skewers into your cake, please tell your client. All right, tell them, let them know that skewers are in it, so that they don't just slash the cake on their faces or something like that. Finished composing my cakes. Please, I do have a video where I detailed how to conclude your cakes. Okay, you can check it out. I'll also link it in the description box. Do check out the description box. Okay, so I'm working with a blue or light blue fondant, and this will be the top tier. Now for the top tier, what I want to do is to make it a crackled effect. So I don't roll out completely, okay? So I rolled it halfway to the length that I want to cover the cake. Then I start applying shortening on the body of the fondant. Alright? This way, when I'm adding the wafer paper I want to use, you will notice the difference. After applying my shortening, the next thing I do is to cut up the wafer paper and place them on the fondant. So you see how I'm doing it? Please do it like that, okay? You can also do it in a way that you like. There are different methods of crackled effect. This is the method I wanted to use for this cake, alright? When I'm done setting or arranging the wafer paper the way I want it, I dampen it with water. Okay, so this is water and brush. Okay, I just dampen it before I start rolling out to the extent or to the length I want it. Once you feel you can roll out, but if you notice that it's wet, you can also add icing sugar or cornstarch on it to help you roll out better. All right. So I'm trying to roll out with a bit of force than normal so that I will have the crackled effect. You can also use your fingers or your hands this way to gain the crackled effect if you feel it's not coming out the way you want to. So I'm trying to give it the texture that I want so that I can continue to roll out later. The water I'm trying to attach or apply here is just in case if there is any wafer paper that is not properly attached, so I'm trying to attach it back and continue to roll out to give me the crackled effect. I really don't want too much of a crack on it, just a bit of a crack. Okay, you can leave this for a longer period, but I didn't feel the need to leave it for a longer period. All right. When I'm done doing this or creating the crackled effect, I go in and use the tape to measure the length of the cake and the height of the cake, alright? Because this is going to be the size used to cover the size of the cake, and the cake of course is going to be covered using a paneling method. After rolling up the crackled effect for the sides of the cake, I roll out a bit of fondant for the top. So as usual, you know that if you've been watching my videos, you know that I don't like using too much of fondant for the top, so I roll it out a bit thinner than it normally should be. Then I set that one aside. Before I wrap my cakes in fondant, what I do is, after crumb coating, I also add a bit of buttercream layer again, so that the cakes would adhere with the fondant. All this I have detailed in my video where I showed how to cover your cake in fondant as a beginner. Alright, you can check it out. I will also link it in the description box. I would like to apologize that I didn't know my camera wasn't on when I was covering the blue cake, but you can use the paneling method to get that. Okay, just this way I am covering this tier cake. All right. For stacking the cake, this cake now you're seeing is a 9 inches cake. So I put a dowel rod. Please note I said dowel rod, I didn't say skewer. Skewer is for putting the layers, holding them together while you're trimming. But this is a dowel rod used for stacking. There are different types or sizes of dowel rod in the market, but this is the one I used for this cake because the cake that's going on top of it will be lighter than normal. Okay, it's a 6 inches cake that is going on top of it, so I'm going to be putting in 6 skewers in it, and I'm trimming the skewers down to the size of the cake itself. So after trimming it, I apply my buttercream. You can also apply glucose. I've seen people apply glucose. You can use royal icing for it. So after stacking the cake, I make sure that it is in the center. Okay, and I start adding my embellishments that I used my mold to do. Okay, you can see the crackled effect on the cake. So this is the final cake at the event. I hope you learned something from this video. Please kindly like, share, and also subscribe to my channel. Thank you so much.